where you got people who literally cannot work or are working but are so poor that they need this kind of additional help from the government. And then they turn around and they're like, hell yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump, baby. He's got me. Or I got mine, everyone else. Exactly. But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even talking about those super rich people who are assholes, okay? I'm talking about the overwhelming majority of Trump voters, because not every Trump voter is a party caucus. The Tea Party caucus, the Freedom Caucus, has once again, unsurprisingly refused to show that they are an honest deficit hawking party. That's right. Here, we'll just tune into Fox News and here.
And they were just barely hanging on, that they were really just trying to get this and then get to the 4th of July event.
The Tea Party caucus
like
buckled.
Now,
the Freedom Caucus, the Freedom,
207 yays, 209.
The Tea Party caucus buckled. Okay.
Still look like we're just a few votes shy, 7 votes of the, 9 votes shy of that magic number. We're doing the math in real time. We go into journalism, so we don't have to do math. So I apologize if my counting is off. But the all indications here that Speaker Johnson is still on track for the victory. I saw a White House aide just a minute ago walk by, and I've been bugging this guy all day, and I've just said, any
Freedom Caucus is real.
We'll see.
All right,
So
you know what? Fuck it. I'm blasting it.
As cautiously optimistic as they can, Sandra. But as Speaker Johnson made it very clear, he was going to get this to the president's desk and ready for the president's pen at any moment.
Fair enough. We heard that confidence from him. We heard that confidence from Kevin Hassett, who advises the president on the economy at the White House, top of the hour. He said he's 100% sure that this will go through. Mark Meredith, we're watching the count. 208 yays now for the Republicans on the House floor. Couple minutes left in voting. Trey Gowdy, want to bring you back in here. Mark, jump back in if you get a lawmaker who walks by you fresh off their vote. We'll certainly welcome their thoughts. But as far as the promises made by the Republicans, including what you just heard from the House Speaker a few moments ago, the promises for economic growth and prosperity that they are promising Americans will result from this bill.
It won't. It'll shrink the GDP is what they're saying. So it's ironically not even economic prosperity on that end. Do we have a blast off meme or what?
Yeah, I think the thing that we may not see is that the revenue actually, there are 2 ways to reduce the deficit. You can cut spending or you can increase revenue. I don't know that you're going to see that much increased revenue. The president's trying to get manufacturing here. That's going to take a while. But in terms of your tax returns, the Republicans would be smart to send out a mailer and say, this is what your tax returns would have been had the Democrats.
I hate Trey Gowdy so much.
So that's their best
Look at this
point.
kooky ass. Look at this haircut, bro.
What's the value of your life? But they do need to talk about safety. The number that matters there is the 9, not voting 9. Now, they're in their offices, they're working their way over, or they're on the phone with James Blair and the White House, Susie Wiles, saying, okay, we lost this round. Can you help us with X in the future? But there's not a chance in the world Mike Johnson is going to put this bill on the floor if he doesn't have the votes.
Yeah, these guys are great vote counters. You don't put a bill on the floor unless
They're
you
great
know
vote
it's going
counters.
to pass. That's the game on Capitol Hill. And, Trey, you talked a little bit about
what I just realized? Donald Trump wanted to cut Medicare, or wanted to cut Medicaid and end Obamacare his first time around, and it literally didn't pass because of John McCain, and he hated John McCain every step of the way. And I just realized it's over. Like they just passed a bill that guts Medicaid in its entirety. It's done. It's over.
In South Carolina, if that's Ralph.
Okay, Trey, it's Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania.
Who did vote against the procedural vote in the middle of the night as well. So that's Brian Fitzpatrick in a very moderate district. I believe President Biden won in 2024. But Trey, go ahead,
to
continue.
people who are on SNAP.
Yeah, I think the thing with the deficit, what drives our deficit and our debt's mandatory spending. And I've sat through many State of the Union addresses where it just didn't come up because it's not politically popular. Paul Ryan ran on entitlement reform, and they ran ads with him pushing Granny off a cliff in a wheelchair. So everybody talks about debt and deficits, but it's much more popular to spend than to cut. So I don't until there is.
Dude, he's talking about it like it's this is a fantastic accomplishment. He's like, it's much more popular to spend than to cut. He's right, which is crazy. But he's literally talking about expenditures for people, like life-saving expenditures for people. Yeah, I wonder why it's more popular to fund these programs than to cut them, dude.
Well, but to your point, Eli, yeah, big NATO. I mean, it's a list of wins he's put together, and President Trump is preparing to put together.
I'm gonna lose my mind. They're talking about this like it's a major W for Donald Trump. God damn it. Oh my God. These people are so incredibly stupid. They are so dumb. Everyone is so stupid. Another great victory for Donald Trump. Is he becoming president? Is he President Trump now? Is he President Trump? Like, please just factor in the impact. Please just do impact studies only going forward. Please, for the love of Christ.
And that is going to be a very big, visible kind of party for him.
Right. And again, this is a guy who, this is the guy who yesterday went to Alligator Alcatraz, right? This is a guy who knows how to brand and how to reach people and how to have a simple message, how to capture the public's imagination. And he's going to be standing next to the troops and celebrating the troops who did that. He's going to be talking about a major legislative accomplishment for him and Republicans. And those are really significant things. Again, down the road, we will see, right? A lot of the deportations and the immigration stuff, the ICE actions, those are not polling as though they appear to be all that popular. So if ICE gets supercharged and we see a lot more of those, and that's what's on voters' mind 8 months from now, a year from now, we could be talking about a different story, right? You can celebrate anything at the bill signing. Joe Biden had a lot of celebrations for bill signings too. Didn't mean he ended up being able to, or the Democrats ended up being able to hold on to the White House, and here we are. So I think, give the administration, the White House, the Republican Party its due, because they do appear like they are going to get this to the finish line. And it has been a string of wins, as they would say, over the last week or two.
This is cool, man. Hey,
but
thanks.
There is, a long way to go.
Fantastic, by the way. This congressman, Representative Robert Bresnahan, sold his Centene stock, dumped it, okay? Centene provides healthcare exchanges for Medicaid. This congressman literally dumped stock in a Medicaid provider company right before this bill came to the floor. Don't be fooled. These guys know exactly what they're doing. Now, before you say insider trading, chat, it's worse than insider trading. Do you want to know why it's worse than insider trading? Because he's literally, he has the capacity to make or break this as a congressperson. Okay? It's not just that, he knows that they have the votes for it, so this is the most opportune time to dump it. It's worse. It's market manipulation when you think about it. The fact that congresspersons have the power to literally rig the market, because they do. They have this power. They have the power to rig the market, okay? It is market manipulation. It's not even like insider trading. It's like one step above. What's crazy is I saw a post on one of those stupid Twitter, Wall Street Bets style accounts where they were like, damn, I can't believe Trump predicted exactly the point of market recovery. And it had 100,000 likes. And I didn't see anyone go, yeah, he didn't predict it. He caused it. It was showing it was showing the stock market dip. And then Trump going, buy now. This is the best time for you to buy. And then the stock market goes back on a rally, right? And now it's finally recovered back to the point it was at before Donald Trump talked about the tariffs. And it's thank God someone actually responded to it, because this is what I saw. And it's he literally called the bottom. And I was like, yeah, I wonder why he called the bottom. Yeah, because he's the president. He didn't call the bottom. He created the bottom. And then he literally tweaked the faucet that was making the market bottom out. And right before he tweaked the faucet, he said, great time to buy. Are these people that dumb? Are they this stupid? I guess the answer is yes. Thank God someone responded to it and said, wait, why does this have 32K likes? Lol. Of course he called the bottom. He caused the bottom, and then he decided to end it. Guy who single-handedly destroyed the economy tells everyone he is done destroying the economy. Anyone else does this and the SEC rails their brains out? No, they don't. No, they don't. You want to know why? Because the SEC is a carcass now, okay? They don't even do that anymore because guess what? Donald Trump and the vultures that he brought into office gutted every institution, every regulatory body, including the SEC. Yes, in a functioning government, the SEC is supposed to go, hold on, what do you mean? This is Like all of this stuff doesn't seem too legal to me. I think what's one of the craziest parts about all of this is that like there is an enshittification of government. Like everything is just getting worse and worse year over year in a way that like even dumb guys can kind of understand. And I guess at that point you have two options. You either lean into it and you go, nah, this is actually funny, lol, you, or you just go, yeah, this is really messed up. I'm checking out. You know, I'm tapping out. I don't want to participate in this. I don't want to pay attention to this. I am not interested in this at all. You know?
And so, yeah, if Democrats win the midterms, and you know, we have seen over and over again that the voters that turn out for Trump in a presidential year are not necessarily going to turn out for, you know, in those competitive races.
The House passed it. The House initially came out with deep cuts, slammed it over to the Senate. The Senate literally added additional cuts that were even worse than the House's initial cuts. Then they passed it back to the House. The House said, okay, but this still has ginormous deficits. Maybe we won't vote for it because you have the Tea Party contingency within the Republicans who are like supposed to be quote unquote deficit hawks. They're not, obviously. They turned around and they said they voted on it. Okay. So now it's going to go to Donald Trump's desk and he's going to sign it and he's going to make a big show of it. And every dumb guy, get ready for every moron whose parents are going to die. Okay. Every stupid person that you know that is currently watching, like tuning into like the Asmongold broadcast to be like, oh, what are the talking points? Like every single person whose grandparents rely on Medicaid for long-term nursing home care, for example, like their grandparents now have to, I guess, do additional paperwork once a month. And if they don't, they're kicked off that coverage. And what happens then? What happens to people that don't have Medicaid? It's already an insane process to qualify for this stuff. There are chatters in here who qualify for it. Good luck to the rural hospitals that rely on Medicaid to actually stay afloat, because all of the people that live in these areas, these red areas that voted for Donald Trump, that are on Medicaid, but they don't realize that they're on Medicaid because every state has a different name for it. Like, that's the other side of the story. People don't even realize that they're on Medicaid. They think, oh, I don't have Medicaid. I have Arkansas Care or whatever the it's called, right? So they, in their minds, they think, oh, that's a totally separate thing. I'm fine. It's like, no, dude, you're cooked. You're cooked. 3 Democrats who died this year would have sunk Trump's big, beautiful bill. The deaths of Jerry Connolly, Sylvester Turnell, Raul Grijalva, and their impact on Trump's sprawling spending plan have reignited fears about an aging Democratic Party. President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill spending squeaked through the House on Thursday morning in a 2015 and 2014 vote. 2 Republicans, Thomas Massie and Warren Davison, voted against it. GOP Rep Andy Harris of Maryland, chair of the hardline House Freedom Caucus, voted present, and 2 other Republican reps as well. Our Home is the name. Okay. Open RSS. I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to do the paywall remover. Don't worry. I'm blasting the paywall. I'm hacking. I'm a hacker, man. Trust. All the House Democrats voted against Trump's sprawling spending plan, but they were missing 3 congressmen who could have sunk the bill. Bill's passage Thursday, just a day before the vote. The family of Representative Jerry Connolly confirmed the Virginia Democrat had died at age 75. Weeks after announcing his esophageal cancer had returned, Connolly had first revealed his diagnosis shortly after winning re-election last November. His passage was the 3rd in a string of Democrat deaths in the House over the past 3 months, following the deaths of Representative Sylvester Turner, 70, Representative Raul Grijalva, 77 in March. Had all 3 been alive and voting as expected, the bill would have failed by a vote of 2017 to 2015. Or not 2015, sorry, 215. 217 versus 215. Now, of course, in that process, would the Freedom Caucus actually play ball? Most likely. Of course, other factors come into play when imagining a scenario where Connolly, Turner, and Grijalva were still present for Thursday's vote. In the frantic days leading up to the vote, several House Republicans threatened to oppose the bill over issues like the state and local tax deduction cap, only to ultimately fall in line. It's impossible to say whether Massie, Davison, and Harris would have still withheld support if they didn't believe the bill could prevail without them. Still, Connolly's death has reignited concerns about the Democratic Party being run by a gerontocracy with few signs of the generational change needed. Wake of the party's crushing defeat in the 2024 election. Fitzpatrick and Massie were the only no votes. This is when the bill was first passing, for the record. This is when the bill first passed the House of Representatives and made its way to Senate. How many Republicans have died? Evil never dies. I mean, or I guess evil only dies if they're on the Democratic side, okay? But yeah, it's passed. It's over. The new agenda, the mega bill is now in motion. Now, there are a lot of unique things that the Republicans did that a Democratic Party could potentially take advantage of, but I'm holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath on waiting for the Democrats to take advantage of that. A new calculation trick that they implemented was the idea that the pre-existing tax cuts that were supposed to expire, okay, should not be factored into the deficit and should be made permanent. That was the new math that they decided to apply, which is just okay. It's not how this works. Obviously, there's a reason why those tax cuts are calculated in the way in 10-year increments. That is because they have to pass the CBO estimations, and they also have to pass a budget reconciliation, a more rigid analysis that budget reconciliation has. And that's the reason why they sunset those. That's the reason why tax cuts are slated to sunset. And now they've made that permanent with a simple vote in the Senate. They just rammed it through. They were like, this technically doesn't impact the deficit because it's already pre-existing tax cuts. Okay? The filibuster obviously is a silly tool that doesn't work because you have the budget reconciliation that was the modus operandi in the past multiple administrations at this point, because it's the only way you can get a majority vote to win shit, to pass shit. And yeah, in spite of all of it, in spite of it all, they did it. They did the damn thing. Trump was able to whip the votes. ICE is going to go ham this weekend 100%. Oh, for sure. Do you think America is still robust to weather this? What? No, I think this is horrible. You are not aware of the Dems game? Yeah, he did it, dude. He did the dang thing. My goat. This is called sex appeal, okay? I don't want you, ladies, look away. You are not going to be able to pay attention to politics any longer because I'm showing you the sexiest man in Congress, a big badass over here. Yes, and also, of course, some of the Republicans that went no turned yes because they got assurances about future promises down the line. They were going to do that anyway. There was never a point where they were not voting on this, okay? Please, make no mistake. It's the same as Lisa Murkowski. Oh, Lisa Murkowski is very concerned. She's a moderate after all. She cares about Alaska. What happened? They always fall in line. You know who never falls in line? The goddamn Democrats, dude. The Democrats. They never fall in line. Democrats have comprehensive agenda items. They have all of these things that they promise during the campaign trail, during the election cycle. And then when push comes to shove, when they actually have to act, Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, Maggie Hassan, there are a million Democratic senators and Democratic congresspersons that love to play the role of a spoiler. Republicans do not have this same predicament. Maybe they have Massey and they have Rand, okay? They have Rand Paul in the Senate and Thomas Massey in the House of Representatives, but that's pretty much it. All of the other stuff is just a back and forth. All of the other stuff is just silly back and forth, like a little bit of drama. Just remember that. A Dem takes office. It takes them 4 years to pass the We Love You bill, which grants a one-time $1,200 loan to black small business owners. Every time a Republican is in office, day one, they pass all the encompassing nasty act that kills every living thing on God's green earth. It's true. It's true. We hate you and we're going to kill you act passes in record speed time. Okay. It's every single time Republicans come into office, it's like, we hate you and we're going to shoot you in the head act. And it's like the act itself is, we hate you, we're going to shoot you in the head, melt the working poor legislation, passes in alarming speed. Okay. You've never seen it. It gives you whiplash. Yeah. Republican voters, when Trump introduces the you, I hope you starve and die bill. That's it. That's it though. Hey, There's a hit tweet from Twitter Mutual. That's where we're at every single dang time, by the way. This is how it always goes. This is how it always is. Okay? It's like, did it pass? Yes, it did. It did pass. Okay, it did pass. At least I got the tax cuts, though. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely. Me and Ma and Pa in the trailer park, we are going to be cooking with this new tax cut. Thank God. Thank God. Oh, also, now I don't have health care because I have to literally check in once a month with the federal government or with my state government to tell them that I'm actually working. And the entire purpose of this paperwork is literally so I don't get that health care, by the way. Make no mistake. That is the whole purpose of this. The whole purpose of this bill, like the way that the insidious way that they cut Medicaid is by basically making you check in, okay? And then they're like, oh, sorry, you didn't look at this paperwork. It says that, it says that your coverage lapsed because your paperwork was wrong. You wrote your name wrong. Oops, bye-bye, don't die, okay? Once again, 2/3 of people on Medicaid are already working, okay? 2/3 of people on Medicaid are already working. The idea that, like, this is to get them out, get them off their asses and go out to work it was never real. It's just to make the people that are already working on Medicaid get off Medicaid by putting paperwork in front of them, unnecessary paperwork in front of them. And then when people that rely on this kind of healthcare coverage see that this healthcare coverage is failing, government healthcare is failing, the Republicans turn around and go, notice how socialism is killing you? That's right. This socialist healthcare is killing you, right? So much paperwork. Doesn't it suck? We should take more of this away. We should take more of it away. And then those guys go, hell yeah, you're right. My government healthcare does suck. I hate socialism. You're so right. Also, can we kill some trans people on the side too? That'll make me feel really good. Also, disabled people being protected is a myth. People spend years in Medicare disability legal process before getting approved, before they reach technically disabled status and need Medicaid in the downtime and will be kicked off. Oh yeah. Across the board, all of it. Getting disability is already a difficult endeavor to begin with. My grandpa can't verify his identity with insurance by himself without my grandma's help. Half the time it gets denied because she's helping him too much. How do they expect people to do this multiple times a year? Every month, chatter. Every month. They don't. That's the whole point. They don't. They know that you won't be able to keep up with this. They know that many people are not going to be able to abide by these restrictions. And that's the whole point. That's why they get to say, oh, we're not cutting Medicaid, while they absolutely are cutting Medicaid. Adding any sort of additional hurdle in front of Medicaid recipients is going to cut Medicaid. And then you know what they're going to do? They've done this before. They've done this a million times. Bill Clinton did this, okay? Bill Clinton did this with welfare reform. Democrats have done this in the past as well. Then they turn around and go, see, so many people are off Medicaid. It feels like we're making real progress here. Less people are relying on Medicaid than ever before. That seems awesome. That seems like America is now more prosperous than ever before. It's like, no, dude, it's because you kicked them off. They still need it. They just can't get it now. You kicked them off. That's it. That's literally the whole point here. If your grandparents are on Medicare and you think they're covered, but they're in a nursing home, they're not, because Medicaid actually is what helps them pay for long-term care. If you're working, though, why wouldn't you get your health care from your job? Great question, chatter. Oh, my God. What a incredible question. I wonder why. Maybe because some jobs don't offer health care. And especially the jobs that don't offer health care are probably very low-paying jobs. So low that you can actually qualify for Medicaid. Have you thought about that? What if you got a part-time job? What if you're doing gig economy work, which is like the only game in town now? Think. What about Medicaid fraud? Yeah, exactly. Medicaid fraud. That's the other thing. The way these guys talk about Medicaid, you would think that Medicaid was actually just like paying poor people to sit at home and eat chips and play Call of Duty. That's not how this works. It's just healthcare, you animal. That's all this is. There is no like scheme here. Okay. They literally were, I saw so many Republicans be like, and I even joked about this as well, saying like, oh, lol, this is like Asmongold's fan base or whatever. But like, I saw so many Republicans be like, oh, people are no longer going to be able to sit at home and play video games in their mommy's basement. They have to get a job. It's like, dude, that's not how this works. Like, Medicaid is not a payment plan for unemployed people. It's just healthcare, you demon. You have it when you got your dick shot off at the congressional baseball game. You got premium healthcare so they could sew your cock back onto your pants, Steve Scalise. That happened for you. Why? Because you're a congressperson. So you have platinum healthcare. Asshole.
Cutting spending in this bill, getting rid of a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse, putting work requirements, for example, in a program like Medicaid so that the truly disabled and needy will be able to get better access to Medicaid because those able-bodied adults who are turning down work, the 35-year-old who's sitting at his mom's basement playing video games, is going to have to go get a job again. Those are going to be good things for the economy, but it's also something that helps reduce waste, fraud, and abuse and saves hundreds of billions of dollars in those programs.
Yeah, me and the boys used to pound beers, play Halo, and use our taxpayer-funded healthcare to get colonoscopies. The good old days. Steve Scalise says proposed Medicaid cuts, 35-year-olds sitting at home playing video games, they're going to have to go get a job. And by the way, it's a good thing for them. Their mom doesn't want them sitting in the basement playing video games anyway. Like, what is this? Like, how would someone's healthcare being paid for by the government because they're so poor, 2/3 of which are still, they have jobs. How is that in any way, shape, or form actually like causing them to not get a job? Like, who the is like, how is this like, how are they trying to present this as a payment plan? When is this supposed to go into effect? After the midterms, chatter. Don't worry. They didn't want you to immediately feel the pain and then turn around and vote against the Republican Party, God forbid, I think. In fact, the Democrats in states they control could increase income taxes on the rich by and redistribute that middle and working class. All they'd have to do is do it. Before you insist Dems have no power to reduce Trump tax cuts for billionaires they say they oppose, remember, they have the power to now try to change state tax laws or to effectively repeal or reduce those tax cuts in 15 states where Dems control the legislature and governorship. That is what a serious opposition party would do, but it's not clear Dems are a serious opposition. Example. And then the example David Sirota uses is Kathy Hochul's refusal to pass even a modest increase in the super wealthy that Zohran Mamdani was suggesting for New York City. Isn't the work requirement 18 to 65? Aren't 65-year-olds playing? Are 65-year-olds sitting at home playing Call of Duty? This 35 at home framing is insanity. It's not real. Also, this is not welfare. This is just insurance for people who don't have money to pay for insurance. That's all this is. So there is no world where like people are like, oh, I was going to go out and work, but honestly, thank God my Medicaid paycheck came in. Like, that's not how this works. It's just when you get and you have to go to the hospital, it's covered to a certain degree because you're so poor, even though you have a goddamn job and you pass through like all these rigorous checks to begin with to qualify. It's not a simple process this is not even a simple process. Felix had a good take on this. He said something like, if the Republicans actually had to go through the conditions and live like the people, their constituents that have Medicaid, here, this is it. In about 75% of the United States, it's nearly impossible to get on Medicaid outside of some of the worst set of circumstances an American can experience. If a single person in that chamber had to spend a day as someone who actually qualifies in a red state, they would kill themselves. And so much of the people are their constituents directly, okay? So much of the people that they're like, I don't want you to celebrate this in any way, okay? Because it's still over everybody, okay? It's over the working poor. I am unconditionally against this kind of thing. I think we should be moving in the opposite direction where we actually expand healthcare, right? We get Medicare for all rather than limit the already incredibly limited amount of healthcare that we're offering to people that are below a certain line that are so close to poverty overall that like they have to get this help or otherwise they die, right? But one of the craziest aspects of this is that the people that get the most from bills like this are the Republicans that live in rural areas. It's the people that you know, okay? It's your uncle that's on disability pay that talks about welfare queens. It's your distant relatives that live in a trailer park that constantly talk about like, oh man, no free handouts. It's like, bro, you're on welfare. You're on welfare and you're on Medicaid. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? It's those guys. It's like half of the population of places like Kentucky, half of the population of places like West Virginia. All of these places where you got people who literally cannot work or are working but are so poor that they need this kind of additional help from the government. And then they turn around and they're like, hell yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump, baby. He's got me. Or I got mine, everyone else. Exactly. But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even talking about those super rich people who are assholes, okay? I'm talking about the overwhelming majority of Trump voters, because not every Trump voter is a multimillionaire. Obviously not. There aren't that many of them, right? There are more of them voting for Trump than voting for Kamala Harris or anyone else, right? But like ultimately, there are, you know, in the 99% of Americans, there are plenty of people that actually rely on these social safety nets, don't even realize that they rely on these social safety nets, and constantly advocate for their own demise. It is very frustrating. We see them in this chat every day. They come to me, a guy living in California, a guy that already has like a decent amount of money, who is fortunate enough to be able to take care of his own family. And they say, from their position of a working class American that relies on these social safety nets, they say, you idiot, get wrecked. Oh, I bet you're malding now. I bet you're malding, dude. It's like, yeah, I am, because clearly I care about your parents than you do. That's why I'm